Hi, my name is Samantha Squires, and this is my Media Clip final project. So first up is the least restrictive environment. This is where the child will be placed throughout the day, and this will be determined by what their needs are. If you're looking at an IEP, it's going to say if the student is not in a general education classroom, where they go and what the justification is for that. This is what's going to benefit the student the most, and this is going to look different from student to student. There might be a student that is in the general education classroom all day long, and they might have a paraprofessional or different accommodations for them. There could be a student that is in the general education classroom half the day, and then they flip to a different classroom. We call them co-taught classrooms, where it is a SPED teacher and a gen ed teacher. Or there's just resource rooms where it is the SPED teacher. It also includes the entire program and how well that's going to benefit the student, what needs they're going to get, and again, the justification of those needs. So next is the cycle of the assessment process. It involves many different ways of collecting information about the student. It's really important that teachers look at this when finding out what's going to benefit the student in the creation of their IEP. So phase one is identifying the student and the referral. This is screening the student, teacher identification, intervention strategies, and notifying the parent that this whole process has started for the student. Phase two is determining the eligibility. They design an individualized assessment plan that the student's going to do. And this is where they start looking at if the student is eligible for services. This is where they administer and score the assessment. They report the results, especially to the parents, and then they start deciding about eligibility. These phases are built to make sure that students that don't need special education services aren't being put into the program. And it's not a can't do, it's a won't do. So this is why there are so many different steps and why they call it a cycle. Phase three is program planning. This is where they start to design the IEP and the parent has to agree. I think this is probably the most important step, just because the IEP is what is going to affect their entire learning process and the entire educational process for that student. It's going to show where they're going to be throughout the day. It's going to show any accommodations that they're going to need. It's going to affect them their entire day, and that's going to be really important to make sure that it is appropriate. Goals are set for the student and the parents agree to those goals. Phase four is the program being implemented. So the IEP is implemented. That means the student will start to follow the IEP. They might be getting paraprofessional services. They'll be getting their accommodations in the classroom. They might be put into a different classroom, but this is where the IEP is actually put into place. They monitor progress of the students. This is also where parents are notified throughout the day of progress for the student. If anything else needs to be done, where some improvements could be made, things along those lines. They'll do an annual review of the IEP with the parents, and then they'll reevaluate every 3 years the eligibility of the IEP. So that reevaluation is going to show, did they make progress? Do they still need those services? And if not, canceling those services. Family participation is really important. It's making sure that the family knows what's going on, they agree to what's going on, and they're supporting what's going on. Growing up, we always heard that having parents involved in the school and the school day is so important because the students are likely to do better because they're going home, their parents are interacting with them about what they did at school, parents are helping them with homework, and it's going to really help those students do better. And, having a parent involved is really important in the classroom. So some different ways is getting knowledge from the parents. Who knows the kids best but the parents? They know the kid's strengths and weaknesses. They know what the student likes to do. They know what they don't like to do, where they struggle, where they feel confident. So it's really important to have that conversation with the parents on, what's your child's favorite thing? What is an incentive for your child? What does your child struggle with? Creating achievable and challenging goals, making sure that these goals can be achieved by the student, but they're also going to challenge them. It's not something too easy. It's not something too hard. It's not something that's going to take them many, many years, but what can they achieve in this school year and show progress by the end of the year? Being professional, coming prepared with different assignments the student might have done, showing, I think it's really important to say that they need to be positive assignments as well. So something the student did really well and something that they might be struggling on. I feel some parents going into an IEP meeting can be really scared because they're like, I'm going to hear everything my child doesn't do right. But it's really important that we show the parents, your child does do stuff right. This is just where they need a little extra help. Dressing appropriately, just dressing professionally for those meetings. Obviously, right now with COVID, it's a little different because all of our IEP meetings at the school I'm at are virtual. Avoiding teacher talk. Teachers are really bad about this. Sometimes we use, our acronyms, our abbreviations. We'll say, different things that the parents don't understand, and they're just like, what? So a good example is I said to my husband the other day, the word modification, and he goes, what are you talking about? That's what we talk about at school is what modifications does a student have? And the parents might not understand those. So it's making sure that we are being understandable because it's already a stressful situation. It's already something new to them, and it can be really scary. So using language and jargon they understand is super important. Being respectful, knowing their culture, norms, values. Kids come from everywhere, and they don't all believe the same. They don't all have the same values. The parents or everybody doesn't have the same culture. I work at a school where we're right next to a military base. So I have a ton of students from different countries. And it's really important that they're respected no matter what. And that can be shown in a couple different ways: body language, tone of voice, inflection, all of those. So being respectful is super important. Lastly is scores. So percentile rank is the percentage of students in a norm group who got the raw score or lower. And this is going to allow for more precise scores than standard and stenines. So percentile ranks are going to show, where the student falls in that norm group. Standard scores, they're useful for comparing the same individual on two different measures. So where the percentile scores showed the group, the standard scores are going to show just that student. It also helps in assisting the analysis of student progress. How are they doing on this? Have they progressed on this? Have they improved on this? The stenines are divided into 9 different segments, and this is a range of performance rather than a specific score. So percentile ranks are going to be those really precise scores. Standard scores are, the same individual, 2 different measures, and helping with student progress, where the stenines are going to be a range rather than specific scores. So they all do something different, but they're all very important when it comes to those derived scores and how to see where the student progress is being made, how they compare to their peers, and grade level expectations. That was my media clip final project. Thank you.